If you're like me, your favorite part of Bible stories are the big moments, the moments that we really love to watch in a movie, even if the rest of it is kind of corny and forced. Like for Moses, it's the parting of the Red Sea, or for Joseph, it's that moment when he interprets Pharaoh's dream and gets to be the ruler of all Egypt. Or for Jesus, there's lots of big moments, lots of big miracle moments, his birth, his death, his resurrection. And that's what we like to see on screen and possibly read about in biblical fiction books or even articles or blog posts or short stories. We like to emphasize those big moments, even in sermons and discussions that we have about it. But honestly, what makes a biblical fiction story for me, whether it's on screen or in a book, is how real the in-between moments are, and if you've been transformed by the story. But to be honest, those big moments are what draws us to it. And we might be drawn into the story thinking, how did the person get to that big moment? The intrigue is what comes between. So that's what I want to talk about today briefly in a little writing tip. My name is Jubilee Lipsy, and I am the author of My Brother the King. It's a biblical fiction trilogy and Bible study about David and Jonathan. It's on Amazon now, was published in 2021. And at the end of July, I have a new novel about Joseph coming out. It's called Of Sheaves and Stars, and that will be on Amazon shortly. But it's not here yet. So in the meantime, I am reflecting on some of the things that I've learned in this process of becoming an author. I've been writing most of my life. And honestly, that's the best advice practically I would give to anyone who wants to be an author, is to just spend as much time writing as you possibly can. You don't necessarily need a degree in history or fine arts unless you want one for enrichment. There's so much on Skillshare and Teachable and YouTube and books, and just reading your own favorite authors and making note of what they do well. There's so much you can learn, but just by applying yourself, but writing your own stuff is really going to teach you the most. And honestly, as you become a better writer, your speech will start to suffer. It's normal. It's okay. It's just part and parcel of putting so many words out on screen. You lose some up here. But regardless, when it comes to biblical fiction, but this applies to any kind of book, you might be drawn into writing those big moments. You want to write the character's climactic moment or the ending or even the beginning if it's super exciting. But what makes it seem natural? You want to draw the reader in, honestly. And that's the shift that is made between personal and professional writer. The shift is made when you're no longer just doing this for your own self-indulgence, but when you're realizing, okay, I really want this to be something that I'm going to prepare for publication. Then you have to start thinking of your audience. You have to start thinking about, is this written in a way that's going to draw them in? Or am I just robotically telling them the story all over again? And this is this mistake is very easily made with classics or with Bible stories. And it's made a lot in our culture where people assume, these movie companies assume, that because they're retelling a classic, it's automatically going to be good. But the way in which you retell it is very, very important. You can't retell it in a robotic way where you're just repeating the story, because why do that? Why do we need it repeated again? And it's not very nice to just write it with your own agenda so the real story is lost to sight either. For biblical fiction especially, I have to have a story to begin with that really grips me, that has transformed me from the inside out, something that I never get tired of studying and asking questions about. And there's got to be something in it that God has revealed to me that I want to say and that I want to share with others, that is at its core the reason why I'm doing this, because that passion is going to come out and touch people. That's what's going to touch people, not just the recitation of the story. This happened, then this happened, and so on. So what I typically do is I do not write it from start to finish. Now, everyone has their own process, and each time it's going to be slightly different. But what I will do typically is I will write the scenes that I am most passionate about, the ones that are just at the edge of my fingertips, just ready to come out, because the stories that I write, I've been thinking about for quite some time. I'm not choosing them at random. And so I've been dramatizing these moments in my head for a long time. And so I will start by just getting out the scenes that are my favorites, the scenes that I can't wait to write about. And it won't be the final draft of those scenes either, but I will let my excitement and passion come out in those scenes, and then I will make a list of all the scenes that I have written over time, and make a list of the holes, the areas that I need to stitch together. I find that is a lot more effective to make the story unfold naturally than if I start at the beginning and try to just repeat what happens in scripture and just recite it to the reader. Then those big moments like the parting of the Red Sea kind of seem inevitable. They kind of seem like you're just repeating, like, oh, that's convenient, he parted the Red Sea. It just feels like the progression of one thing to another, the progression of usual narrative. But if you can start with the big moments and pour your heart into those, and then give yourself time to go back and consider, okay, what is needed? What are the things that need to be filled in between? What information do I need to foreshadow ahead of time? And then how can I stitch all that together to build up to those big moments, so that you earn the emotion of those moments, so that the reader feels like they're drawn into those moments. And that's what I believe that's how you can tell that you were successful at a biblical fiction story, is if your readers are not feeling like they're being told the story, but they're experiencing it, they're being drawn into it. And so that's my tip for the day, is you can start out of order if you want. You can start with the things that you're most passionate about and then work your way back through, and you will discover so much about the story. If you're not discovering stuff about the story as you go, then you're really not ready to write the rest of it. Some of it's going to happen as you go, some of it's going to happen beforehand, but you need to be learning, and you need to know your characters and your plot so well. That's what's going to come out in the story and make it feel natural, is your passion, your knowledge, your excitement over this. And I truly hope that mine comes out in the books as you read them. See you back in July on Amazon for the launch of the new one.